Back with more of a Monday edition of Southern Fried Sports right here on Tide 102.9 and 100.9 FM. Without further ado, we head to the Peterbrook Chocolatier studio line at 205-342-9904 and check in with Jerry Meyer of 247sports.com. The great Jerry Meyer. And Jerry, it's been a little while, but welcome back to the program.
I'm glad to be here, Travis.
Let's start with the home team, I guess. The Alabama Crimson Tide. Again, we haven't spoken in a while, so I guess what I need to know is when you looked at this Alabama team or you saw this Alabama team maybe early in the season, and now that it sits here at 8-10 in the SEC, losers of 7 of its last 11 games to finish the regular season, tell us maybe where you saw this Alabama team with Kyra Lewis trying to step in for Collin Sexton and the other pieces coming back to start the season with where it has actually finished in terms of maybe projecting this team earlier.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a little better record-wise. It's tough to lose a point guard like Collin Sexton, and Kyra Lewis is a great player. But he is a freshman. Now, I know Collin was a freshman, but Collin was an elite freshman and a very physical player, special player. So, that's a loss there. And then, I just thought the wing play would be a little better. I thought the team would be a little better. I didn't think they would necessarily be world beaters, but, I thought there would be at least a winning record in the SEC.
We talked about this a good bit because the lead up to Collin becoming a part of this Alabama program, the guys that came in with him, and you talk about wing players, John Petty, Herb Jones, you had the post that came in, Alex Reese, Galen Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like as much as anything, the sustainability of this run, if there was going to be one under Avery, was going to be dependent on those air quotes, other guys in that 2017 class, I guess it was. Was that kind of how you saw it? And what have you seen from Petty and maybe Herb Jones in year 2?
Certainly right. You're going to lose Collin. You kind of knew that. So it's right. If you're going to sustain something, how are those guys going to play? Man, it's kind of like sort of how I look at just the Alabama team in general. It's kind of like, they're all right. I don't get a sense of inspiration really watching them. Sometimes I have trouble describing it. Tried to talk about it the other day on my podcast.
When you watch Alabama, Jerry, what do you think they're trying to do? When you watch Alabama, it's more specific maybe to that topic. What do you think they're trying to accomplish on the offensive end of the floor, just in general?
Well, I wonder about that. The X and O's don't inspire me. I get a sense of stagnation a lot of times, dribbling with no purpose, slow developing. You don't see the ball whipping around. You don't see the quick action that you typically see from the really good teams. And it's just kind of like they're just running an offense, and I don't watch Alabama basketball as much as Alabama fans do. And so I'm just going with, the sample size I have. And a lot of this is just how I feel as a basketball person when I watch them. So, it's not like I can get the chalkboard out and draw it up. I haven't studied them to that extent, but that's just kind of the feel that I get. I watch them and I'm just always ready for that careless turnover that's going to be really costly. So I don't know. I'm sorry I don't have more positive things to say.
So kind of the anti-Tennessee.
I'm sorry, go ahead, yeah.
Kind of the anti-Tennessee, would you say? You like watching Tennessee, right? Everybody
Correct.
does.
Yeah, Tennessee's lost some games here, but you're going to lose some games. They've lost some tough ones. I enjoy watching Tennessee play because I do get a sense of purpose, and I get a sense of a higher basketball IQ as a group, and a better chemistry, and a better competitive edge. I think Tennessee has all those things. Obviously, they're not a perfect team. None of the teams out there are, of course. what even is that? They have their flaws, and they're not always on top of everything. They're not the best 3-point defensive team, but they have the qualities of a team that can be a Final Four type team, a team that's, upper echelon NCAA team.
Team that
and
you
I don't get that sense with Alabama. I guess that's why they're 8-10 in the SEC.
Yeah. Team that you think has the higher ceiling in the NCAA tournament, Kentucky or Tennessee?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. And
the draw obviously dictates everything.
I was literally thinking about that yesterday when I was traveling on the scouting trip I was on. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it. I guess what you're saying is, who do I think will go the furthest? Depends on brackets, of course. Man, honestly, it's a toss-up to me. I think they're both outstanding teams. I think they're both in that upper echelon of teams that can win it all. And, man, I don't know. I guess I'm going to cop out. I'm going to call it a tie.
Is this one of those years, Jerry, where the SEC tournament might be more must-see television than, say, the ACC tournament?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, more than that. It's going to be must-see. I jumped the gun a little bit there, comparing it. Like, I'm excited. Here in Nashville, it's going to be fun. I think there's going to be some great matchups and games.
Yeah.
And but comparing it to the ACC, let me think in my head. ACC, I'm going to go with it's going to be way better than the ACC. Minus a Duke North Carolina matchup.
And Zion, obviously.
Yeah, the Zion factor. And, if he gets back out there and plays, the ticket prices go way up.
That's kind of documented at this point. Hey, Jerry, you do such a great job.
Yeah.
You do such a great job scouting for 247sports.com. Got to ask you about a local guy, Trendon Watford, where we're at in his process. And just give us the Jerry Meyer evaluation of Trendon Watford in terms of where he's at now, how perhaps NBA ready is he, and those type of things.
He's a great player. He's a player that I think the industry as a whole has underranked. Because he doesn't necessarily wow you with like sexy athleticism, although he's a solid athlete, but he is a basketball player. He's a guy that's going to help any team be better. He's a winner. He plays for a great high school program and great high school coach. And there's a lot to love about Trendon Watford. And I think he's going to be very ready to play as a freshman because he has a mature game. And I think he has the physical strength to get it done right away. As far as his recruitment goes, everyone was thinking LSU. I think, I don't know that it was a consensus, but the majority of people out there, with the crystal ball and other people doing prognostications on where he'd end up, LSU seemed to be in charge of the recruitment now. That might have gotten shooken up. For a while it was Memphis. Before Memphis, it was Alabama. So I don't know exactly where we are on his recruitment. I would think it's going to stretch a little bit because of this Will Wade situation.
Yeah, just a bizarre Saturday night.
Unless he just decides to bail on him. But and he might do that, and he's probably a guy I need to be snooping around trying to find out some information on, because that's obviously a huge wrinkle in his recruitment. And it's not like he was dead set necessarily on LSU. We'll put it this way. He has other really good options, and he has other schools that he was really in tight with earlier, if we are correct in our assumption that LSU was leading for him and all that. Because at one time it looked like, Memphis is going to get this guy. Before that, Alabama's going to get him. So who knows what he's going to do. Definitely it threw a big wrinkle in his recruitment.
Yeah, and Alabama not exactly finishing with the flourish here, and some rumblings about Avery.
You got to think Memphis might be licking their chops right now.
Last man standing, Penny Hardaway, might actually be that way for the Tigers. Hey, Jerry, as always, we appreciate it, my man, and we'll do this again real soon. Thanks again.
All right, man. Anytime. Take care.